What I want to get to right now, though, John Keim of ESPN came out on his podcast yesterday and gave some nuggets on where things currently stand between Terry McLaurin and the Commanders when it comes to his contract negotiations.
And I don't know, by the way, where the contract talks are at. One thing if you notice, it's very quiet right now with that. That doesn't mean things aren't being done or discussed. It just means it's quiet. I think they're doing a good job of keeping this between the two sides and nowhere else, which is not a bad thing, right? Just obviously I'd like to know more, but it's not a bad thing for them that this is the way it is. And I think that's good. But I don't have an update on that. I just know that they're being very quiet, which is again, not a bad thing.
So, yeah, John, I agree with you. I don't think hearing nothing, first of all, I actually kind of laugh at John, not in like a rude or mean way, but like I get where he's coming from. He wants to know what the hell's going on. He
needs the information.
He needs the tea to be spilled so he can give it to us. And he's straight up saying it like a good reporter, not pretending like he knows anything, not acting like he's talking to people. He's telling you straight up, I haven't heard anything. Now, we were talking about it to open the show. Max told us Sam Cosmi signed his extension last year, September 4th, about a week before the start of the regular season. Based on the way Terry has moved with these negotiations, he's basically saying, I'm not showing up until I am paid. Last time around, he sat out mandatory OTA or mandatory minicamp under Ron Rivera. Would he do that this time around? I'm not sure. But I say all that to say the timeline's got to speed up on this thing. There are no new wide receiver deals coming for you to look at and judge. So, like, the numbers are what they are. Just get a deal done. I wonder if I doubt they play hardball with him. There's no benefit.
You shouldn't.
There's no benefit of playing hardball with him.
None.
But, like, what if you love Jalen Lane? And what if you see a future with Deebo Samuel? That shouldn't impact a Terry extension.
If I love Jalen Lane, I would love Terry McLaurin and Jalen Lane more.
Exactly. You can, what's the old saying? You can spin two plates at once, right? Like, I totally agree with you, Max. But I think what we need to brace ourselves for as a fan base, and I know this is kind of an uncomfortable convo to have, and maybe it's premature. This, in all likelihood, is his final contract here in Washington. Talking about Terry McLaurin. Maybe he wants to be a Commander for life.
I would hope so.
But like financially speaking, he's 30. This will probably be a 3-year deal. He'll be 33 years of age. Depending on what the production looks like at that time, he may be in line for another 2-year bigger deal. Maybe Washington's not willing to do it. Maybe Jalen Lane has burst onto the scene at that time. I just think it kind of aligns with Jayden Daniels and his contract, and when that becomes inflated, this is an interesting comment from Scotty G. He calls him one of the last real Redskins. That's interesting.
Well, he is.
He is, because he was drafted by the Redskins. So there is that. I think you're going to pay him no matter what. We gave you the contract numbers and the projection that Spotrac gave, and I think they're pretty spot on when it comes to this. I feel like it's tough. I feel like with McLaurin, when we have these discussions about his value to the organization and what he means, I'm never going to undersell how important he is to the team. But I also think, and maybe I'm wrong with this, I think we overvalue him here locally. Not to say that he's not one of them ones at the wide receiver position. I'm not saying that at all. I just think we maybe overvalue him a little bit, and I can tell that we do based on the frustration that some folks had around him and, you know, where he was ranked amongst the NFL's top wide receivers. We had Trevor Sycamore on a couple of weeks ago, and he told us, like when putting together his evaluation for Terry McLaurin, it was one of the most difficult ones to do simply because, you know, there's a range that he falls in. He can, you know, be as ranked as high as 9 and ranked as low as 19. I don't think it's any slight to Terry. I think it's a byproduct of wide receiver clearly being the deepest position group in all the National Football League. So the fact that he's even in that discussion, in that conversation, kind of lends itself to, you know, how good he actually is. So here is the contract projection from Spotrac. 3 years, $93 million. The guarantees is still kind of up in the air here. They're trying to model the Debo or the DK Metcalf contract extension that was given out by Pittsburgh earlier this offseason. DK getting $33 million per year, $60 million guaranteed. The Spotrac projection for Terry is a $31 million AAV. And I think if your AAV is going to be that, I look at, DK's and go, hey, if DK is getting $60 million guaranteed, I need $62 million guaranteed. Because I think if you're Terry McLaurin, all of the analytics and numbers point to you being the better wide receiver. So Rob Bigelow, first of all, hell of a name, types in the chat and says, A.J. Brown just signed 3 at 96 a year ago. Terry is not A.J. Brown. 3 for 85 to 90 should be what the range is. I agree with that he's not A.J. Brown. I would never come out and be ignorant and say that. But with Terry, the AAV for him, I think he has the right statistically to put himself in that Amon-Ra, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk convo. Like his AAV is going, he is going to be in that $30+ million per year tier. I don't think there's any sort of debate about that at all. At all. Come on. Is that a hot take that I just gave out? Our guy Kenny tweets at me and says, saying we've overvalued Terry is a hot take. That's not a hot take at all. I think it's what every fan base does for their best players. You overvalue them. You make them another player we overvalue? Sam Cosmi. You all act like Sam Cosmi's a honorary member of the Hogs. He got his ass kicked down the stretch last year. It was not very good. His play fell off drastically, and I hate that it, finishes with a torn ACL, but, he's got to get better. But to say that we overvalue Terry, I don't think that's a stretch at all. When I say we overvalue him, some of you act like he's a top 5 wide receiver in this league. That's what I mean by overvaluing him. He is clearly not in the elite tier of wideouts. He's not in that Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He's not Jamar Chase. He's not Justin Jefferson. Who else am I missing in this? He's not Tyreek Hill. He's not A.J. Brown.
CeeDee Lamb.
He's not CeeDee Lamb. So our guy A.J., one of the hosts of the Trap or Dive podcast, we always love to give them some shout outs here. Please be mindful that this is Terry's deal. He will cash out on. He's not going to settle financially. I think that's a tremendous point that I feel like we're not all maybe talking about. There's a reason he didn't show up, right? Like if everything was peachy with the negotiations and they were close, I think he would be on the practice field. So him not showing up, I think they're further than maybe we're giving it credit for. And he showed you last time around, if he's not happy financially, he will not show up. Do I agree with that mentality? Probably not. I think when you look at Terry as one of your unquestioned leaders, he doesn't have to practice, but I'd like him to be in the building. But the other thing we're talking about here, I think is huge. He is not a top 5 wide receiver. And I think there is a sector of this fan base that concretely believes that. And if you're going to have arguments about Terry McLaurin, if you're going to get up in arms about Terry McLaurin, I challenge you to look at the 2 games against Quinyon Mitchell. And that Thursday night game, Quinyon Mitchell had him in hell. And that December game that Washington won, if you take away the deep shot from Jayden Daniels, he's under 30 yards receiving on the afternoon. You look at the 2 matchups against the Dallas Cowboys without Trayvon Diggs being there. Right? In that first matchup, Terry McLaurin, if it's not for that garbage time touchdown that he scores, he doesn't go for 80+ yards in that game. The season finale against Dallas, how many catches did Terry McLaurin have? Against A.J. Terrell, against Atlanta, how many, touches did Terry have? Kay Wilson types in the chat, says, I blame Cliff for that. See, what we did last year was kind of unfair. We blamed Cliff Kingsbury for Terry's lack of production. He doesn't separate well. Like, that's been his number one thing. His number one issue for me as a receiver is I don't think he separates particularly well. Not a problem, but something that keeps him out of that elite tier of wide receivers for me. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think it's a good sign that he's not at OTAs and that the negotiations are so quiet to this point, because we're at a spot right now where it feels like, hey, it's kind of crap or get off of the pot when it comes to this contract for him. They've got to get it done. And what I will say is this as well. You can't wait until September 4th like you did with Sam Cosmi, because Terry's already shown you he's not showing up.